Greetings fellow guitar travellers, it's Rowan J Parker here and welcome to another episode of Music Theory 101, and this is part 2 of our look at the melodic minor scale. Today we'll be looking at the harmonisation of the chord scale in triads and in sevenths, and we'll be looking at some of these rather fun and nutty modal names that the melodic minor scale modes have. Alright, so let's get straight down to it. Music Theory 101, part 2, melodic minor. Let's get that brain in gear. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the harmonised chord scale of C melodic minor, first of all in triads, and then we'll expand out to sevenths. Beginning on the first degree of the scale, which is C, we get the following triad: C, E flat and G, which is a C minor chord, C minor triad. The second degree, built on the note of D, yields us D, F and A, which is a D minor chord. So here's the first thing that's somewhat unusual about the scale. The first and second chords of the key of C melodic minor yield us C minor and D minor. Now normally when you've got two minor chords a tone apart, they function as the second degree and third degree of a major key. So this is the first thing that's somewhat unusual about the scale, is that that's not the harmonic function here. It's chord 1 and chord 2 of C melodic minor. Alright, so let's look at the third chord in the keys, built on the note of E flat, contains E flat, G and B, and this is an augmented chord. This would be E flat augmented. The fourth degree is F, and it yields us F, A and C, which is F major triad. And then the next one, we've got G, B and D, which is a G major triad. So once again we've got a slight anomaly here, because we have F and G major triads. Normally they would function as 4 and 5 in a major key and would strongly imply that relationship of, in this case, C major. But here again it's actually minor. So one of the problems with melodic minor harmonisation is that it produces a chord scale that doesn't sound particularly related, as we'll see when we do the entire harmonisation and play all the chords together. Alright, let's move on to the next chord, built on the note of A, the sixth degree, and it gives us A, C and E flat, and this is a diminished triad. And then the last chord, the seventh degree, is B, D and F, and again that is another diminished triad. So you see it's a very unusual chord scale, because we have C minor, D minor, E flat augmented, F major, G major, A diminished and then B diminished, and then back to C minor. And if you play all these chords consecutively, they don't particularly sound very related. Let's listen. It does sound a little bizarre, to say the least. So one of the things to learn about melodic minor harmony is that you don't really construct a diatonic chord progression of melodic minor chords. It's very unusual to do that. So for instance, you wouldn't really have, say, 1, 4, 5 in C melodic minor and just play C melodic minor over it. If you tried to do that, it might sound extremely odd indeed. So that's not the way you use melodic minor. You use melodic minor over single isolated chords where you apply a particular melodic minor scale to create a particular chord over that chord. So it's not used the same way you would use a major scale, that you could use a major scale to play over several chords, or the same would be true for a harmonic minor scale. It's not true for melodic minor. Alright, so now let's look at the seventh chord scale. Okay, let's look at the harmonised chord scale in sevenths now. Starting on the first degree, C, we have C, E flat, G and B. And this is a C minor major 7 chord. And this is in fact the chord I was improvising over at the start of this video, this short improvisation I did, of course using the C melodic minor scale for the majority. the second chord of the key built on the note of D, D, F, A and C. This is a D minor 7 chord. Again, this is somewhat at variance with the harmony, because you would expect a minor 7 chord to be the 2 of a major key and really not the 2 of this minor key. The next chord built on degree of third degree, which is E flat, G, B and then D. And this chord can be described variously as, beg your pardon, this chord can be described variously as E flat major 7 sharpened 5th, or E flat major 7 augmented. You could also construe it as a G triad over an E flat bass, because that is in fact what it is. Very dark, very spooky sound, but when you get used to it, it's particularly good. It supports a sound called Lydian augmented, more of which in another video. Alright, on to the 4th degree of the scale now. So, 4th degree, F, gives us F, A, C and E flat, which is an F7 chord, dominant chord. And then chord 5 is G, B, D and F, which is G7, another dominant chord. And then the 6th degree gives us A, C, E flat and G, and this chord is A minor 7 flatted 5th. And it's the same chord type on the 7th degree B, which is B, D, F, A, is B minor 7 flat 5. Alright, so the entire harmonized chord scale for this key is C minor major 7, D minor 7, E flat major 7 sharpened 5th, and then F7, G7, A minor 7 flat 5, and then B minor 7 flat 5, then returning to C minor major 7. So you can see what I mean about the harmonization. It sounds extremely odd and the chords don't seem to fit together very well, and in fact they don't particularly fit together very well, and that's why I use the melodic minor scale, just to play over isolated chords in the particular song you're playing over, rather than a diatonic corporation, a string of chords from the same key. One last thing we're going to do for you, we're going to give you the names of the modes of melodic minor, just for a bit of abstruse technical fun, so let's do that. Okay, get ready for some wild and crazy modal names for these scales. Mode 1, which obviously runs C to C, is just melodic minor, so it's called Mode 1 melodic minor. Mode 2 starting upon D is called Dorian flat 2 because that's fundamentally what it is. It's like a Dorian mode with a flattened second. The third mode, starting upon E flat in this case, is called E flat Lydian augmented, and it is a very unusual sound. I actually have a video of some Lydian augmented improvisation somewhere on my YouTube channel. It is a great sound when you get used to it. Mode 4 is Lydian dominant. And then mode 5 is called Mixed Lydian flat 6. And then mode 6 is two possible names for this one. You can call it Aeolian flat 5 if you like, or I prefer to call it Locrian natural 2 because it's like a Locrian scale with a major second, and use it to play over minor 7 flat 5 chords. So normally that's the way I would think of it. I would think of it as Locrian natural 2. And then the last one, which you possibly have heard of, mode 7, is called Super Locrian. And that would tend to fit over altered dominant chords. So in this key, for instance, B7 altered, it would fit over that. So the Super Locrian scale, mode 7, that's got a couple of other names as well. It can be called Super Locrian. It can be called the diminished whole tone scale because it starts like a diminished scale and finishes like a whole tone scale. Or sometimes it's just called the altered scale because it contains all the alterations of a dominant chord, flat 5, sharp 5, flat 9 and sharp 9. So those are those crazy wild chords and mode names. To get your head around. A lot of learning in melodic minor. It's a difficult sound to approach initially. It's hard to get into the ear, but once you do absorb it, it produces some of the most beautiful and interesting sounds that there are in music. Has a sort of stark, haunting beauty to a lot of the modes, so I really do like them. I should at this point as well plug a forthcoming video that will be available to buy in the store, which is called Fusion Essentials, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Melodic Minor. Well, it may be called that, I don't know what the title is yet, but it's going to cover the use of melodic minor and all its modes in considerable depth, and will accompany my modal DVD as well. So I do encourage you to have a look at that when it's available. Alright, I think that does it for the Theory Fest today. A monster amount of information there. We'll just do the wrap up. Well, that concludes another episode of Music Theory 101. Hope you enjoyed that one. A lot of information in this episode, I know, so go over it slowly, take your time, and make sure you absorb everything. Now, just a brief plug for my website, which is www.rowanjparker.com. If you've not already had a look at it, please do so. There's tons of cool guitar stuff on that site, most of which is free. There is a store where you can buy things, lots of high quality products available for instant download at very reasonable prices. I also do Skype lessons, and you can inquire about them through the website as well. Furthermore, you can subscribe to the website, stick your email address in the subscribe box, hit subscribe, and you get access to even more free and exclusive stuff not available anywhere else. Otherwise, I've got a lot of backing tracks on SoundCloud, and that's Rowan-Parker on SoundCloud. They're all free, and the vast majority you can download. I'm also on Facebook. Facebook page is Rowan J. Parker. You can like if you like. I'm on Twitter as well if you want to follow me there. And of course, there's lots and lots of videos all over YouTube. So do check out the channel, Rowan J. Parker, my YouTube channel. Well, that'll do for this week's episode of Music Theory 101. I will see you next week. Till then, farewell.